Corey, dude, you and I have been looking forward to this one a lot. We're big Star Wars fans over here. We get to check out Star Wars Outlaws, the full release now. We've been to a couple preview events, which was very cool to see, to get us a little glimpse of what we're going to get into. Now that we're into it, though, dude, off the hop, Star Wars Outlaws makes me feel like a scoundrel. And for that, I'm going to go with a 9, just because I got some other glitches here or there that kind of held me back a little bit. Off the top, though, dude, 9 for me. I've had a great time. What about you?
I've been having a blast as well, Drew. I think the anticipation from both of us for this game, especially since we've been to some events leading up to the launch of this game, has gotten us really excited. Again, we're Star Wars guys, maybe a little biased in that realm, but at the same time, it means we learn to really appreciate when effort and detail gets put into games like this, and that's something you see right off the hop with Outlaws. For me, I'm a little bit lower than you. I'm with an 8, but I think honestly that this game is going to see some high numbers once people start getting their teeth into this one. I think it's getting met with a lot of maybe hesitation from the general public, but for the most part, I think people are going to be pleasantly surprised.
No, absolutely. I think this is Ubisoft step into a new dimension. I love the fact that they've jumped into the world of Star Wars. We're so used to this formula with Ubisoft, and you really feel them branch away from that known formula, right? Of going to the outposts, let's clear the outposts. You do the leap of faith in Assassin's Creed. Like, there's so many tropes, the Ubisoft tropes, that I just didn't experience here. That is such a refreshing feel when we get to an open world Star Wars game. Dude, skill tree. There really isn't a skill tree. That's in the, okay, whoa. What do you mean there's no skill tree? There's no skill tree because we get to deal with experts. So these experts allow you to hone in on abilities. You do certain tasks. That unlocks that ability. You add a couple pieces of gear. Boom. Next thing you know, you've got a bigger pouch. You've got an ability to run past guards so that they can't hear you because you found that particular expert. Dude, and there's a lot of them. A lot of them to discover and unpack and unfold and dive into. The high premise of the story, though, dude, had me hooked from the beginning of the game. And then as I'm going through, as you're off to pull off this big heist, right? The biggest thing for me, though, is Kay came around as I need to survive. I think that's where the scoundrel side of it really kind of plays into it, right? So her need to survive pulls along you throughout the story of her looking to get that one last heist to then take off. We all seen the trailer, so you know kind of basic what the story is, right? But from there, dude, you build and you build and you build, and it keeps going for me. And then a side quest and a side quest and another side
They're
quest.
everywhere. They're everywhere.
Dude, if you're looking for the checkbox, welcome to Star Wars Outlaws, because it has a ton of stuff to just keep you going. Corey, there's a lot still to unpack. This is going to be a longer review than usual. I want to pass it over to you, though. What are the things that kind of highlighted moments for you?
Well, for me, I'm a huge fan of the Jedi series, right? And I think when people think of a Star Wars game, we're thinking lightsabers, Jedis, all that good stuff. So being able to jump into kind of the time frame between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, we kind of get to see what it's like living the life, in my eyes, kind of like what Han Solo was doing before Han Solo, got up with the Alliance. And for me, kind of going through Kay's story, and then you get Nix as a sidekick, who's a completely different element to any game that I've ever played like this before, especially in the Star Wars realm. It's nice to be able to have that, utility, because again, we're not Jedis here. We don't have lightsabers. We don't have force abilities. We're going off of her being a scoundrel, like you said, Drew, and they make you feel that way. They really engross you in the story right away. Like you said, Kay Vess has this kind of bravado to her where she knows she's got to do whatever it takes, but she does have the ability and she's brave enough to actually get it done, and you really get to see that as this story progresses. But again, there's a million things to do in this game, Drew. Like, outside of the main story quest, you were doing a lot of discovery, and I think that's what they wanted you to do here. Achievement hunters are going to love this game. People are going to spend a ton of time in this game playing it the way they want to. Whether we're getting, some big future updates, I know there is some stuff planned. We don't quite know exactly what we're going to see here, but at the same time, Drew, there's going to be so much already in this game. I'm already kind of feeling slightly overwhelmed if there's going to be more added to this. But again, it's one of those games where I think the longer you're in it, the more rewarding it becomes, and you really do notice that right from the get-go.
Absolutely. I think we're going to be here for hours upon hours, right? It's not just a one and done. You're not going from point A to point B to finish the story. You are getting lost within the world, and that's the joy in the experience of playing Star Wars Outlaws is you don't beeline the story. Like, you're gonna miss so much that unpacks and unfolds as you experience the game. upgrading the trailblazer, upgrading your speeder, right? Dude, one of the things that kind of took me. Now let's get into some of the negatives because there are a couple things I kind of experienced, right? So I mentioned it in my preview, so let's get this out of the way. The fact that stealth is such a huge element, and I'm such a stealth fan, love that part. Problem is, you can't pull a guard out of the way. You knock out the guard, the dude just drops. I'm like, but allow me to just to tuck him around a corner, right? A simple little mechanic Ubisoft has done numerous times over and over again, but he can't do it here for some reason. It's just kind of, that part irritates me. I had a couple little graphical glitches here or there, and I had one person fall through part of the world where it was just her upper body, so I just shot her in the head, and it was over, right? So those were my gripes. Dude, that is literally my gripes for the game. Everything else is on point. I think the voice acting is fantastic. I think the game world looks great. And I'm constantly exploring, jumping from one planet to the next planet to the next planet, upgrading this, upgrading that, finding new tasks to do. And then let's get into the biggest part of the game is the syndicates.
Yes.
Dude, the highlight of Star Wars Outlaws is who do you side with at the time that's going to benefit you the most. This is why it becomes, you play as a scoundrel becomes so important because you go with the pikes. You go in there early with the pikes, but as you progress through part of one of the missions, I'm then approached by somebody else that, hey, you can now turn the tides and double cross the pikes. Do you want to do that? And then that gets you better in with like Crimson Dawn, say, right? So there's a lot of this back and forth, last minute decision. There's times I'm going, ooh, what do I want to do here,
tough.
Right?
It's been tough. Some of these choices aren't easy.
So you have this meter that plays along with the syndicates of from poor to good to excellent, and then from poor to bad to like very bad or something like that. And it's just, it is, dude, if you're very bad, oh, look out. But I've been able to kind of hover in around the poor to sometimes the bad because I really ticked off the pikes at one point, right? And then you got side quests, though, allows you to help build that reputation back up. So there are some moments that will help save you, but at other moments, you are really like, one syndicate is there for themselves to overthrow the other syndicate. And it is felt throughout the entire game. It is such a cool mechanic. I wish we have more games like this because it plays into a lot more who do I want to work with now to benefit me the most, because that is that scoundrel feeling, right? It's all about Kay and her need to survive. So what does she do best to make sure that it's represented which way she needs to survive and go and then overthrow somebody else? But there's that, sometimes it's a gray line, right? Like, which way do you want to follow? Or sometimes it's not. And it's just, dude, the characters you meet in the world will help you kind of determine who you maybe want to tick off the time. I don't know. Dude, I've had an absolute blast.
The syndicate mechanic is really unique. I mean, we've seen it in games in the past, but just the way they've implemented it here in Star Wars, like you said, we've got kind of a meter of reputation with these syndicates, and depending on who you want to help or people that you may need things from, because the nice thing is you start to gain reputation, you unlock rewards, you unlock cheaper prices at that syndicate's merchants, which I thought was really cool. Like there's a lot of elements that make those decisions when it happens very difficult, because you're trying to figure out what is best for me at this moment. And sometimes it doesn't always seem like there's a right choice and a wrong choice. It kind of seems like you might get screwed either way, but you're just going to have to pick the best of the worst sometimes. And that's really cool. And I mean, the fact that Kay has all these abilities and skills that you do unlock as you go. Like you said, she meets different experts that teach her different skills, and then allows her to upgrade her blaster on the ship and things like that. And using her blaster becomes things that help you solve some of the puzzles throughout the game, which I thought was really cool. Obviously, with the Ubisoft game, we're expecting some platforming. We get a lot of platforming in this game. It's done really well. It's smooth. The biggest thing for me was the environments. I love the environments in this game. I mean, if you're in any of the cities, they're populated. There's things going on. You can overhear conversations. There's just so much going on. It makes you feel like you're in the game. You're that character. You're going through the story with Kay, and it's so engrossing. And I think really that's what's been holding me in this game. And I think that's what's going to keep people in this one for, well, like, we're talking 100+ hours here. Easy.
Oh, absolutely, dude. We can probably go 200-300, right, with the amount of content that's littered throughout this world. Like, I think it was about probably 12 hours just on Tashara to then leave the planet to eventually come back, right? I was like, oh man, I just left this planet, and then I'm off to like 2 other planets. I'm over on Tatooine, I'm on Kijimi, and then the next thing you know, I'm coming back. I was like, holy, there's just a full circle. And then Dude, it's a Star Wars game, so what else are you gonna do? You're gonna fight TIE fighters out there, right? You're gonna fight bandits out in space. And the Trailblazer feels good.
Yeah.
And I couldn't wait to upgrade the Trailblazer. So now, dude, my missiles are packing a punch, right? My lasers are just lighting these guys up. It is so much fun. It is seamless, too. I never felt like there are games where it goes cutscene, and you're out in space, and then it goes, screen goes black, and you're back in. Doesn't do that here. Dude, Star Wars, literally, you jump off, you jump into the Trailblazer, and you are part of that takeoff scenario. You're out into space, and then it just seamless transition to, hey, you're out here now. Where you go? Oh, you want to come back and you want to land on Tatooine? Well, then you go over there, and it says to land. You get the experience of flying through, and then it lands, and then you get out of the Trailblazer. And it's just so much seamless transition. Dude, I never felt a disconnect playing the game. I think this is easily Ubisoft's one of the best standouts they've had in a very long time.
Oh, for sure.
Don't listen to those online that think this is going to be trash. Because I'm telling you right now, it is going to be your biggest mistake this year.
Different from